The one whose blood sprayed was Elia. Hamusuk could attack with both paws, while Elia had only one sword, so she had the greater number of strikes. He was at a disadvantage at close quarters. He had boosted his physical abilities, but Hamusuk still outclassed him. In that case, he used Contracting Earth Revised to retreat in one motion. I say. Elia took the time before she came after him to raise her sword overhead and bring it down again. Air slash. His slash ripped through the air and raced toward Hamusuk. She hidden her face and the attack hit her pelt. The farther it had to fly, the less damage it dealt. It would be difficult to land a fatal blow with it, but seems like you can T-block that, can you? So there's the gap between humans and beasts. This is trouble that it is. He used air slash a few times in succession. Her pelt was tough. It would be hard to break through it. That's why he aimed at the part of her that seemed least defended her face. Hamusuk, pinned, didn't budge from where she stood. She covered her face and talked through a small gap. Wait, let me ask, are you begging for your life? You really are just a beast after all. No, it don't bother me, that's what I say. It's this thing in my mouth, never mind, no, do not. He had no idea what she was talking about. Well, humans can expect to understand a beast's ramblings. Still, it seems like she's about to charge. You're so annoying that you really are. Here I come that I do, Simone. Since Hamusuk didn't have a method of attacking from a distance, her options were limited. She would probably try to force her way near him. That's exactly what Elia was hoping for. It would be hard to finish her with air slash, so he didn't have any way to defeat her except with something more direct. When she ran at him, she would run with her beastly face thrust toward him. He would stop her in her tracks by using a martial art stronger than air slash. Then if he kept pummeling her face at close range, he was sure to win. Confident in his victory, Elia's face twisted into a brutal smile, but just then, Hamusuk's tail made a slithering motion. And then Ujia, the tail, flexible like a whip, struck his shoulder with impossible speed. The armor over his shoulder shrieked as it dented and crushed his flesh. At the same time, the snapping of his bones reverberated inside his body, and a lightning bolt of pain shot toward his brain. It was so intense that viscous drool dribbled from his mouth as he beat a staggering retreat. Behind Hamusuk, her tail was weaving around like a snake. It was bizarrely long. As I thought, my tail is too strong. I wanted to finish this at close quarters for that reason. This is bad. Elia bit back a scream. If she charged at him while he was in this state, he would lose. You guys, what are you doing standing around like that? Cast something, healing, heal me. Hurry up and cast healing on me, slaves. At their master's order, one of the elves rushed to begin casting a spell. The pain in his shoulder drained away until it was gone. You're not done yet. Support magic. Not only did they boost his physical abilities, his sword was temporarily enchanted, his skin was hardened, and his senses were sharpened. Hamusuk looked on as innumerable support spells were cast. As the many spells took effect on Elia, a sneer appeared on his face once more. A vast amount of energy coursed through his body. He never lost with this many magic boosts, no matter how immensely powerful his opponent had been. His sword whooshed as he swung it, moving much faster than usual. Like this, he was confident he could fight Hamusuk on equal or better footing. There's a basic difference in physical ability between humans and magical beasts, you know. Now I've filled the gap. I intended to take all of you at once in the first place, so I don't mind at all, no, I don't, or rather, I too hope this fight will finally get good, that I do. Keep talking. Elia rushed forward. She was going to crush her all at once with the energy filling her. He wasn't going to let her give him lip any longer. As he used Contracting Earth Revised, he unleashed air slash as a diversion. Take this. At the same time as his shout, he brought his sword down with all his might. If her pelt was tough, he would just have to hit her harder than it could handle. The blade he swung with his full power slash that I use. A sharpness from above struck down on his arms. Something went spinning through the air and crashed to the floor. A metallic clank and a sound like a wet sack dropping echoed out. Elia couldn't understand why the two arms that had been holding his sword up until a moment ago had vanished. Blood sprayed from their stumps, pulsing in time with his heartbeat. The excruciating pain, his arms, still gripping his sword, lay on the floor some distance from him. Seeing this, Elia finally began to grasp reality. As he staggered away from Hamusuk, he screamed in a shaking voice, "My arms, heal me." Hurry up, the elves didn't move. Their dull eyes showed the dark happiness of those who had been treated cruelly. Okay, success that it is. I used a martial art that I did. Now my master will praise me that he will. Eeg! Elia emitted a hoarse shriek. In this world dominated by creatures stronger than humans, adventuring meant living next door to pain. He had experienced all sorts in his life. He had broken bones, been struck by lightning, burned with fire, frozen with chill, bitten, cut, and smashed. Still, he never dropped his weapon. Perhaps that was only natural in a world where losing one's grip on one's weapon led to death. He had been confident that as long as he had his katana, he could make it out of any situation. But now that confidence was shattered. This shock he was experiencing was new to him. My arms, now, his blood sprayed, and a cold heaviness began to spread from the cut edges. In response to Elia's shouts, the elves just grinned. Elia had no idea what to call the emotions flooding his heart. Hamusuk addressed him in a gentle way. I thank you that I do. I am not fond of causing suffering, so I'll end this now that I will. Something whooshed through the air. A moment later, something hit his face. A pain great enough to make him forget about his severed arms coursed through him. He sensed everything coming apart. That was the last pain Elia felt. The corpse, with its face half crushed in, fell heavily to the floor. Hamusuk nodded and withdrew. If she was nearby, the elves probably couldn't approach the man. They seemed like casters, but maybe one of them would pick up his sword and challenge her. She didn't want to get in the way of that. Now then, would you all also like to? Having taken some distance, Hamusuk looked up and faltered. The elves were laughing and kicking the corpse of the warrior who should have been their friend. What this? What do you ask? She said. Is it an elven burial rite? She felt it had to be something else. A tinge of joy had appeared in their leaden eyes. They had to be venting their hatred. Well, I don't know what to do now, no. I don't use all the skills you've learned so far on the raiders. Show me the fruits of your training. That's what she'd been told, and that's how she'd been fighting. But would attacking elves who were even hostile still count as putting her training on display? She at least wanted them to oppose her. I've heard provocation is effective, she said. But what to say, that I wonder. I don't know, no, I don't there's no helping it. I'll wait for word from my master. Oh, but she turned to the one who was grading her fight. Master Zayusu, how did I do? Is it a passing grade? Yes. Magnificent. You definitely used a martial art. The lizardman teaching her the ways of the warrior nodded, and Hamusuk broke into a smile. I am so happy, she said. Next I will learn how to wear armor. Yeah, that'll be next. We'll start with lighter gear and gradually increase the weight. Hamusuk wasn't able to wear armor mainly because it felt weird when she put it on. She couldn't move how she wanted. She didn't have any trouble running around and changing position under normal conditions, but in battle when she tried to wield her tail, she lost her balance and missed her target. That's why she was learning by watching her lizardman instructor's example. Now I can show my master how much stronger I've gotten for him. I wonder when I'll be able to call myself a proper warrior. Warrior Hamusuk, that I am. My guess in another month or two you'll be able to call yourself a warrior. That is so far away. Seems pretty quick to me, Hamusuk. Usually it takes a year before you can finally use a martial art. When you think of it that way, it is so soon. Zenbel, another lizardman standing next to Zayusu, chimed in. You think so? Yes, I do. Real battle training and healing wounds, using support magic to battle someone stronger than you've been through some hellish training, but you're still learning really fast. Hamusuk shuddered, as did the lizardmen. The thought of all the training they'd done was chilling. I'd be happy if we could train in ways that didn't make me think of the word death. I think fighting right on the edge of living and dying will make you stronger, but well, to each his own. Plus, it would be tragic for a newlywed to die during a workout. Oh, that's right, you got married. You did. Yeah, she got pregnant, so just the aim I'd expect from an exceptional warrior like you. You did it 2 or 3 times. Zayusu stuck his fist into Zenbel. That's enough. We have to get back to our exercises. What should we do about those elves? We can just leave them, I think. One by one, the elves who had been punching and kicking their dead owner this whole time plunked down on the floor. It was as if something had finally snapped inside them. Hamusuk didn't sense any will to fight, so she decided that unless she received word from her master or they tried to run away, she would just leave them alone. Intermission at the sudden change in airflow just past the tip of his snout. The Platinum Dragon Lord, Zane Deluxe Vation, awoke from his light slumber. Surprise was the emotion that occupied his awakened mind. or one could just as easily call it shock. A dragon's keen perception far surpassed that of a human's. Even if someone was invisible or disguised with an illusion, a dragon could immediately sense their presence from a surprisingly long distance, even while asleep. And an ordinary dragon's faculties could not even compare with his. He was a dragon lord. For someone to approach this near to him meant their abilities had to be unparalleled. Even he, in all his long life, had only met a handful of people at that level. The first was a dragon lord like him. The second was no longer of this world, Igeneer, an assassin and one of the 13 heroes. Then, sensing the presence of the one who came to mind next, Zay frowned as he slowly opened his eyes. Dragon eyes could see in the dark, as if it were midday. Standing grandly in the direction from which he felt the presence was an old woman with an elegant sword at her hip. A smile, reserved for someone who pulled off the innocent prank of getting this far without being detected by the dragon's keen senses, was spread across her wrinkled face. Long time no see. Zay eyed the old woman without responding. Her hair, gone completely white, indicated how long she'd been alive, but something about her face was lively, like a mischievous child's. Old age had made her thin and frail, but inside she was still the same. As Zay was comparing her to the image of her in his mind, her eyebrows suddenly tilted to a dangerous angle. What? Has my friend forgotten how to say hello? Good grief, do dragons go senile too? Zay bared his fangs and chuckled kindly. Sorry, I was overcome with emotion at meeting my old friend. I couldn't get the words out. His voice was gentler than one would imagine given his size. The old woman's response was sarcastic, as he expected. Friend, my friend was inside that empty suit of armor. It looks pretty beat up. When Zay had adventured with the old woman and her friends, he'd been manipulating a hollow suit of armor from afar. He revealed the truth, and she was furious that he'd tricked her. She still held a grudge about it and needled him now and then. To this day, he thought it was about time for her to forgive and forget. At the same time, he enjoyed their familiar banter. Grinning at the same old back and forth, he looked at her fingers. It seems like the ring is missing. What happened to it? I don't think anyone is capable of stealing it from you, but that item contains power beyond human capability. I don't want it to fall into the wrong hands. I especially wouldn't want the slain theocracy's black scripture to get it. Are you trying to change the subject? But you have a good eye. I guess that's a dragon's perceptiveness when it comes to treasure. Well, it's fine. I gave it to a youngster. Rest easy. This wasn't an item one could give away lightly. It had been created with wild magic. These days magic was tainted and warped, so it would be nearly impossible to produce a similar item. As one of the few stewards of wild magic left, he wanted to ask where the ring was, but he trusted his friend. I see. Well, if that's what you decided, then it's probably all right. By the way, I heard the rumors. Have you been adventuring? Is that why you're here? Certainly not. I just came to visit as a friend. Besides, I retired from adventuring. Don't make this old lady work anymore. I passed my role on to the crybaby. The crybaby? Zay pondered who it could be for a moment. Then it hit him. You mean her? The old lady grinned when she realized who he meant from the hint of emotion in his voice. Yes, the little Imburn girl. Ah, he was astonished. You're probably the only one who can get away with calling her that. You think so? I am sure you could even more than me. After all, she and I are about the same age. You're older, right? Well, yes, but still, I can't believe she agreed to be an adventurer. How did you get her to do it? She was whining, so I told her if I beat her she had to do whatever I said. Then I socked it to her. She cackled as if amused to her very core. You're about the only human who can defeat her. Zay spoke in a voice that a human would have indicated was a cold sweat. He shook his head. He was recalling the face of another old comrade. He fought alongside her against the evil spirits. She had performed particularly well in the battle against the bug spirits. Well, my friends helped. Plus, knowing undead means knowing how to defeat them. Even if she can win with her abilities, she can turn the tables. Still, the crybaby may be strong, but there's always someone stronger. You, for instance, could probably defeat her pretty easily. If you were restrained, you'd be the most powerful being in the world. The old woman shifted her eyes to the silver suit of armor. She probably expected a light-hearted response, but Zay's was more heavy. Oh, I don't know. The power that sullies the world might be stirring again. There was a hole in the right shoulder of the armor, like a spear had pierced it. So the aftershock from 100 years ago has come. This time it won't be someone on the world's side, like our leader. It is possible it was just an unlucky encounter, but the true nature of that vampire has to be right alongside evil. Still, I thought it seemed like the time had come, but I can decide if suddenly running into it was bad luck, or if we are lucky for having confirmed its existence. Two sides of the same coin, you can choose whichever you like. So I asked you once before, but can you enlist the other Dragon Lords to help? The answer is the same, probably not. The only ones still alive in this world are ones who didn't fight in the battle with the 8 Kings of Avarice. I highly doubt guys like the Heavenly Dragon Lord, just flying around all the time, or the Deep Darkness Dragon Lord, holed up in his huge underground cave doing who knows what, would lend me their strength. Yeah, but there are ones like the Brightness Dragon Lord who had children with humans. If you tried talking to them, something might work out. Maybe, but I don't know. Personally, I think asking for her cooperation is our best bet, the one he told us, about who is sleeping on the deepest level of the city in the sea. Waiting in her dreams, was it? If our leader had been able to leave behind all his knowledge, we would probably have less trouble. He really died too soon. There was nothing we could have done. Even I think it was a shock to kill the player he'd come this far with. I can understand refusing revival. You were shocked too, weren't you, Ligret? The old woman got a faraway look in her eyes and sadly nodded her head. Well, yeah. Actually, yeah. Ligret, I am sorry because I know you've quit being an adventurer, but can I ask a favor of you? What might that be? I have an idea, but let us hear it. Zay was looking at a sword. Its shape wasn't ideal for slashing, but its edge was peerlessly sharp. Nothing anywhere close could be made with current magic. That sword, one of the 8 weapons left behind by the 8 Kings of Avarice, was the reason Zay couldn't leave this place. It is something I've been doing up till now, but I want you to help me. Chapter 4, A Handful of Hope. This is what a dam bursting is like. Hecarim thought so as the flood of attacks continued. Yes, the opponents were low-tier undead. They weren't terrible for the members of Foresight, but there were no breaks between the wave-like attacks. After finally defeating 2 ghasts in the 10th battle, he wiped the sweat off his face. His body wanted a rest, but there wasn't time for that. He took a sip of water from the leather pouch at his hip and worked to catch his breath as he gave instructions to retreat. As he might have guessed, the enemy wasn't about to allow that. A combined party entered the fray. It consisted of 3 skeleton warriors with round shields and 2 robed skeleton mages with staves. I want you to collect information about that sword, an item on par with a guild weapon, as well as other special Yggdrasil items, like the reinforcing armor, the Kingdom's adamantite, rank adventurer team drops of red possessors. They leaped out into the party's way. Save your magic. I know, yeah, I got it. Since they had no idea what was coming up ahead, they couldn't use magic willy-nilly. Its outstanding effectiveness had to be saved as a last resort. That's why they been conserving as much as possible so far. Still, they ended up relying on an ability with a limited number of uses per day. They had almost used it up. That's just how many various traps and diverse types of undead had gotten in their way. Skeleton archers had been shooting at them from behind a barred door. Their swords wouldn't reach. The monsters were tough. With their resistance to stabbing damage, Foresight's arrows couldn't do lethal damage, but Robodick exorcised them. Robodick also destroyed the undead by throwing bottles of poison with exorcism. Then there was the joint attack by the floor imitator. It mimicked the floor and used a sticky liquid to trap anyone who stepped on it. Flying undead were also thwarted with Robodick's exorcism. Robodick also exterminated a mob of mixed undead. These undead inflicted all manner of negative statuses: sickness, poison, curse with exorcism. Now he only had a couple of uses left, but they had managed to conserve their other spells and abilities. The only tough fight they had was against flesh golems. These golems looked just like zombies. They were mixed in with a group of zombies. Careful, multiple sets of footsteps from the rear, undead detected. There are 6 of them. Emina's voice, and then Robodick's a moment later, caused everyone to tense up. The 5 skeletons in front of them hadn't begun fighting. They were probably waiting to annihilate the undead in one fell swoop with a pincer attack. Hecarim considered what their next move should be. Several tactics sprang immediately to mind. They could make a preemptive strike on the enemies in front, wiping them out all at once, or they could ignore the enemies ahead and turn to bash the ones to the rear. They could also stop for a moment and determine which group is stronger, then crush the weaker ones first. Finally, they could use magic to detain one side and use that time to beat up the other. They were all effective, but they all lacked a decisive something. But at that moment, Hecarim's intuition told him what to do. Hecarim, what should we do? Go back. I think there was a side path. Go down that. The second he told her, Emina, bringing up the rear, raced away.